and go.
Hi, I'm Dan Green from Garfield, New Jersey. I'm 37 years old, and I am the manager of a children's photography studio. But I'm not just that. I'm a husband. I am a part-time superhero. We'll talk about that in a minute. I am a fan of Chopped. I have a tendency to cook generally about 2 times a day, breakfast and dinner, about 4 or 5 times a week. When I'm cooking dinner, that means if it's not my day off, like today, where I can do something big, dinner usually has to be made quickly because I get home somewhere around 7:30, and you're not really supposed to eat dinner really, really late. So I can do things in a very short period of time that taste absolutely fantastic. I grew up in Rockland County, New York, specifically Nyack-on-Hudson. I am a child of divorce. I've got a sister, and I've got a set of divorced parents. My mom and my grandmother and my aunts, everyone, all the women in my family are actually the ones who taught me how to cook. I spent a lot of time during, the Christmas season being the only kid allowed in the kitchen, so I got to learn directly from them. A lot of Italian food, a lot of classic Jewish food in my family. I've also, my first cooking experience was when I was about 2.5 years old, before my parents got divorced. My father was out in the middle of a snowstorm helping with volunteer ambulance corps. My mother was sleeping. I decided I was going to be a good son and cook pancakes for breakfast. If you've ever seen a 2.5-year-old child try to cook pancakes, I will state for the record this was during the 70s, so there wasn't a lot of parental supervision at that point in time. But by the time my mother woke up, there was flour everywhere, cracked eggs everywhere, big puddles of milk the size of the ocean, and a quick call to my father from my mother saying, "Get home before I kill the child." And that has not stopped me from cooking. It's actually one of those things that I kind of laugh at because that's the way I've always cooked. I kind of go into the kitchen, see what's there, see what's available to me, which means cooking with a lot of leftovers. It means cooking with a lot of fresh ingredients because you grow up in Rockland County, there are farmers markets and what have you. But the fact of the matter is, when you're a child of divorce, you don't have a lot of money. So you end up taking things that you know and doing a lot of things that you might never think about. One of the things that I have a tendency of doing is things like what I refer to as déjà food or culinary jazz, which is taking what you've got and making brand new things with the same flavors. Leftover pulled pork in the fridge becomes a pulled pork meatloaf. The moisture from the sauce keeps it nice and rich and smoky. A cheeseburger lasagna with crumbled bacon and cheddar with a bechamel sauce that's silky smooth. And you bake that off. It gives you that same sort of cheeseburger flavor in an Italian comfort food. And that's the sort of thing that I love to do. I butcher a lot of my own meat because it's easier, it's cheaper to get a bone-in piece of meat often than it is to get a fillet. Generally speaking, when it comes to stuff that I'm passionate about otherwise, I mentioned I'm a part-time superhero. And I am. I'm part of the Skippytown League of Heroes, which is a children's charity where we dress up as superheroes and go out to do things like, visits to kids in children's hospitals in costume, providing children's activities for comic book conventions because those are a lot, for a lot of adults. Why do I want to be on Chopped? Well, a lot of it has to do with my wife. My wife is the first one who got me watching Chopped. In a recent episode, the All-Star episode, they had crawfish and sea beans, and the first thing in my mind when she said, "Well, what would you do?" was, I don't understand why nobody's doing the lobster roll. Crawfish are really just really tiny, tiny lobsters. So to make a lobster roll and a sea bean salad seemed like a no-brainer to me, and no one went that route. On Twitter, Aaron Sanchez liked the idea. But the fact of the matter is, that's the sort of thing that I do. Take something that you've seen 1,000 times and do something different with it. Make a Reuben burger out of a canned corned beef hash with some Gruyere cheese and some, sauerkraut, and throw it underneath the broiler for a second. Get that cheese all melty and gooey. Keep that great corned beef hash flavor in your mouth when you mix it with your ground beef, your 80-20 ground beef. That's the passion. That's the Zen space. My friends call me random because I seem to always be all over the place. And in the kitchen, I'm centered. I bounce around a lot. I don't look like I know what I'm doing, but I'm centered. That's my Zen. I can do that. I can focus my everything into that food, and that's what makes it fantastic. The world goes away. If I win, or even when I'm on the show, I can promise for dessert there will be no Napoleons. No hairs in the plate, no bones. I promise everybody gets everything. But the fact of the matter is, that's part of who I am. I'm very, very focused on that sort of thing. My name is Dan Green. I am from Garfield, New Jersey. I'm 37 years old. I'm on Chopped, and according to the rules on the paper, you want to see a full body shot of me, so I'm going to stand up. Hang on. I'll move this way. Can you get all of me? Thanks.